Well, welcome to Deep Dive, the podcast that goes beyond the surface, helping you live out your faith with a deeper understanding and purpose. My name's John. I'm the lead pastor here at Murrelbach Baptist Church, and it is great for you to join me today. We're going to explore what it means to fix our thoughts on Jesus and how this can become a part of our everyday walk with him in some practical ways towards the end. But you know, on our phones, we all have that maps function. We all have a GPS on our phone. In fact, it's probably tracking us every minute of every day. But if you're like me at all, when you're driving or you need to get somewhere, you use that maps function quite frequently. So, you know, we want to judge how long it will take to get somewhere, or we also want to know which path or route is best to take to the destination that we want to go to. Well, a few years ago, I was preaching out in the back of Beyond, some small church outside of Warragul there in East Gippsland. And it was a Sunday morning. I didn't really have any idea of where I was going. I didn't know the area very well. And at the start of my travels from home, I plugged in the destination and followed the best route that it gave me. And I began to feel uncomfortable about which way this little machine was taking me when I turned into an estate that didn't really have many houses on it. In fact, most of the blocks and properties had foundations laid, but that was about it. There were houses still to be built and such. And the road then turned into gravel, and I knew something was up at about that point. And then when I reached the end of the road, there were a number of trees in a line. There was then a creek just beyond that. And then beyond that even further was the highway, which I'd come off about 10 minutes before, there directly in front of me. And I couldn't go over and I couldn't go under it. And I knew the GPS had taken me the wrong way, its own way. I was completely off course. Obviously, I had to pull over, have a closer look at the map, focus on getting back on track. Now, our faith can be a lot like, well, that drive, I suppose. We want to set out with all good intentions, a goal in mind, but if we're not careful, it's actually easy to get off course. The distractions of life, of work, of study, of relationships, of family, of parenting, the stress, the overwhelm, health, much, much more. All these sorts of things can pull us away from the path of faith, from following Jesus. And when we don't pay attention, we can find ourselves lost, unsure where we are, how we got there, and really how to get back on track. In Hebrews chapter 3, verse 1, the author urges us to, therefore, holy brothers and sisters who share in the heavenly calling, fix your thoughts on Jesus, whom we acknowledge as our apostle and high priest. And this isn't a casual suggestion, but it's rather a deliberate call to action. So just like when we're driving with our map function showing us the correct route, we're called to fix our thoughts and eyes on Jesus, to stay on course in the walk of faith. The author of Hebrews reminds us that Jesus is our apostle and our high priest. He is the one who has gone before us and is the one who represents us before God. And so Jesus' faithfulness is that foundation on which we are called to fix our thoughts. He was faithful in his mission, in his suffering, in his obedience to the Father. And he's not just some great example, but he is the very reason we can trust God fully. One practical way, perhaps, to fix our thoughts on Jesus is what I'm going to call today the daily reset. Just like we recalibrate our GPS, we need to reset our hearts and minds often to each day, perhaps, to focus on Jesus. This could be as simple as starting our day with a short prayer, asking God to center our thoughts on him throughout the day. Or the daily reset, I would hope, can keep you anchored in your faith, remind you of the one you follow and prevent you from drifting off course. Perhaps instead of waking up and immediately picking up the phone, I know most of us do that, let's be honest with ourselves, why don't we instead take a few minutes before we get out of bed to reset our day with Jesus in mind. This could be as simple as a one-sentence prayer. Lord, please help me to fix my eyes on you today. Thank you for the day that you are giving me. Something like that, something small, punchy, but as a reminder or a reset to us. Another practical thing to do would be to encourage someone else. One of the practical encouragements the writer of Hebrews gives us is to encourage. Encouragement is powerful. I'm sure, like me, you are buoyed or pumped up or keen to keep going when others encourage you. Well, in Hebrews chapter 3, verse 13, we're told to encourage one another daily. Perhaps a quick text message to someone, or a prayer written for them in a text, or a word of encouragement when you see someone at church next or out and about that you recognise from church. Perhaps even the goal of being an encouraging person to at least one person per day. Imagine if someone was doing that for you. How good would that feel? I imagine it would feel great to others if we were to do that to them as well. Well, fixing our thoughts on Jesus is more than just some sort of spiritual discipline and habit. It really is a way we can stay anchored in our faith. As we go about living our lives, we need to keep coming back to him. Keep coming back to the faithful Son, who is that foundation of our hope, the one who keeps us on the right path, Jesus Christ. Well, I want to thank you for diving deep with me this week. Don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, share the podcast with others, click a like, whatever it is you could do to help share this podcast out would be great. If you have any questions about our podcast, about Hebrews, or comments about your walk with Jesus, I'd love to hear from you. Send them my way, and we might even tackle them in future episodes. But otherwise, I shall talk to you next time. Thanks.